Hey, Wellness Warrior, welcome back to this edition of Africa Health Wise, our weekly health education program. I am extremely excited to have you here today. And if you are new here, my name is Zita Venestiana. I'm a registered dietitian, I'm a nutritionist, I'm a diabetes educator, and I'm also the founder of the African Nutrition Institute and the author of the Superfast Weight Loss Jumpstart e-cookbook and the African Nutrition Guide. My purpose is simply to help you prevent, manage, and possibly reverse type 2 diabetes, activate fat burning mode, and help you actually take your shape, all while enjoying African food. So welcome. Take a seat, make yourself comfortable, grab a glass of zobo or folere juice, grab a glass of palm wine if you haven't done so already. And I hope you have your notebooks ready, because today we're about to dive into our topic of today, guys. Why Africans are getting fatter and sicker. Why be say you and I, our generation is getting only fatter. Why is it that overweight and obesity is the talk of the day? It is a trend. The WHO is singing it, you understand, just like a song. And the prognosis is that many more will even get fatter and sicker and sicker. More about that in a bit, okay? But today, before we end this live session, I want to share with you guys, or I want you to have an understanding of the scientific facts that are out there, the present scientific facts that are out there with regards to overweight and obesity. I want to share the main reasons why today we're getting fatter, as compared to our ancestors, right? Because to gain an understanding of, the reasons why we are having this trend today is going to help us, make better choices and probably also reverse the trend. And that is our goal, right? We do not want our children obese. We do not want our children with some kind of diseases that we cannot handle. Do you understand? Who can do well, who can suffer? Do you understand? So I'm glad you are here. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how our ancestors ate and how they lived their lives in comparison to how we are eating today. This is going to be part 1 this Saturday, right? So next Saturday, which is going to be part 2, we're going to talk about the comorbidities, I wanted to say, of obesity and overweight. We're going to talk about all the other, obesity related diseases that we are seeing all over the place in Africa and among Africans in the diaspora. And we're going to talk also about how to reverse the trend. But first of all, I want us to picture this, because, if you want to get the solution for a problem, you have to get deep. You have to go back to the root cause. That is the reason why I'm going to go ahead and share something with you. I want us to picture this, okay? Let us go way back to the 1960s, or maybe even the 1970s. I've even gone a little bit further here. Actually, I wanted us to go back to the 1960s exactly. And here you can see a map, or the map of the whole world in the 1960s, and showing you the obesity data for the various countries in the whole world. Again, this is 1960. If you look on the left hand side here, you're going to see that these different colors represent the prevalence of obesity in the whole world in 1960. So what do we notice? First of all, we see that here all over the place, Africa, Europe, South America is completely, let me not say completely void, but the prevalence of obesity was really relatively insignificant. That is why you are seeing the color is just white here. Now you can see this green here, and you are talking about North America, the USA, which had in 1960 already a prevalence of diabetes of 10 to 19%, as you can see the corresponding color green here. So you can now see, because we are Africans, we want to talk about Africa. Let us look at Africa. Look, there is no the prevalence of Africa was so the prevalence of obesity was so insignificant that, well, the scientific research carried out at the time, of course, it wasn't advanced as today. But at least when you even look at the pictures, when you look at our ancestors, you look at our great-great-grandmothers and fathers, you're going to see that many people were, walking around, with pot belly, with fat and stuff like that. And it's true that even fat, somebody who is obese or fat is not necessarily somebody who has a pot belly. Okay, somebody might not have a pot belly, but might still have some, some fat or overweight in their body, which is a topic for another day. But what I want us to see here is that way back, you're going to testify, look in your family, ask your mother, ask your father about their great-grandparents. You understand, how did they look like? They were not obese. Right? And when we are talking about obesity or overweight, we are talking about somebody who has, according to the WHO, the World Health Organization, a body mass index of 25 and above to 29.9, 29.9 for overweight, and somebody with body mass index of 30 and above to 35 is considered obese, and then from 35 above, obesity in different categories. All right, so what we are looking at here, in 1960, all over the world except for North America, the prevalence of obesity, meaning the number of people who were obese, who had a BMI of 30 plus and even overweight, was relatively insignificant all over Africa. Let's move down to 1970. Now you can see that somewhere here around Europe, is it Europe? I hope so. I'm not very good at maths, but you see that first of all, the prevalence of obesity in the US or North America has been increasing. It has been taking room in different parts of North America. South America, not so. Africa, not at all. Then we begin to see a little bit here in this area that, well, less than 10% of the population here began to show, cases of obesity. Now, moving forward to 1980, you begin to see that something is happening. Do you understand? Something is happening because this obesity trend is beginning to take foot. It's beginning to take root. I wanted to say, in different parts of the different continents, right? So you can see that South America is beginning to, something is happening. Do you understand? We're going to see what's happening in a bit. But you can now see that even in Africa, around North Africa, right up here, where I don't know if you can see my mouse, right, North Africa right here, some people that were beginning to register some cases of obesity, but yet South Africa, around the area where Cameroon is right here, and Nigeria right here for my Niger people, we are beginning to see that there's nothing is happening. They are not registering any cases there. Let's get down to 1990. Oh, now it's beginning to get a little bit hotter. Sure, you get what I'm saying? All over the world, the prevalence of obesity is becoming more and more and more. In North America, it has really taken root there. So many cases, many more people getting obese or who are obese that are registered. South America as well. In Africa, down south, we are beginning to see something happening. We are beginning to see a trend here, as you can see by the color. Europe, Asia, and all of that. It's something is really happening, and you begin to ask yourself why. Now, when we continue down to the year 2000, we see that the prevalence is really skyrocketing here. It's taking foot everywhere. I don't know if you're thinking the way I'm thinking, but you can clearly see that there is a problem. Now, if you look at 2010, all over the world, there is basically almost no country in the world that doesn't have cases of obesity to some extent. Those that have less than 10% still in Africa, Nigeria, Cameroon is already at 10 to 19% at this point. And then we do not even talk about the USA, right? We should not talk about North America. We should not talk about Europe. Something is definitely going on here. Now, looking at the newest available data, and this is from worldobesity.org, guys, you see that as of this is 2015, moving forward, that obesity has overtaken, has enveloped practically the whole world. It is a very big issue. Do you understand? And as of today, we realize that so many people in our families, we grew up looking at aunts who are really overweight, who are obese. I don't know if there is somebody amongst you listening and watching right now who does not know an obese person in their family. Please comment below. Let me know, because it's going to be a surprise to me. Do you understand? So we see that obesity has enveloped the whole world. The world is getting fatter and fatter, and especially Africa, which was practically obese free or overweight free back in the day, in the 1960s. We are talking about 50, 60 years ago, has completely changed. Something has happened, and that is what we want to look into today. What has really happened? But first, let us go ahead and look at our countries in particular, because you guys know I'm a Cameroonian, so I wanted to see what is happening at the moment, current data for Cameroon, as you can see represented in this African map right here. So the Global Obesity Observatory has registered 7 of 10 cases. So 7 out of 10 people at a national level are at risk of obesity. Do you understand? And not only adults, but we are also seeing that the rise or this trend is also increasing among children. We have children who are obese today like never before. Let us take a look at the trend. Okay, what is going to happen or what has been happening? These are facts and figures from 1999 to 2018. You see that there is a stable rise in the rate or the prevalence of obesity in Cameroon. This is Cameroon. So you see, listen, in 2000 we had how many percent here? Just a little bit above 20%. Now we are looking at more than 35%, right? And the prognosis is that many more people are going to get obese in the year 2045. So there is an issue. This is a ticking time bomb. There is a problem coming up. Let us look at the case of Nigeria. You are going to see that like Cameroon is almost the same thing. There is practically no difference here. So there is a problem, my friends. There is a problem. And also in Nigeria, the trend is also rising. I would have shown you that, but it's just the same thing basically. So let me give you a little bit of a summary of the facts and figures once again, so that you know, because knowledge is power, right? So number one, Africa is facing a growing problem of obesity and overweight, and the trends are rising. Many more people are going to be obese. Many more people are going to be sick. We are practically sitting on a ticking time bomb. And number two, if this trend is not reversed, if nothing is done, if we, the people at our individual levels and the society, the government at the government level and the policy level doesn't do anything, then we're going to see many more children being sick. We're going to see many adults dying earlier. We're going to see a decrease in life expectancy and so many other things. We're going to see the economy of the government actually really suffering from these problems, right? Let us leave the policy area to the government. Let me, Auntie I will attack them personally. Sure, you get. I want us to talk on an individual and a personal level right here. And we have noticed that countries like South Africa, Mauritania, all of these countries, even Nigeria and Cameroon are not left out. Our prevalence is really high out there. And we have seen that there is a complete difference. There's a big difference between 1960. If we start going even way back to the 20s, you're going to see that there's a big difference between the 1920s, 1960s to 2018 right now. So what is the problem? Do you understand? That is the question we want to answer right now. What is the problem? How have we gone from, you understand, our mothers in the 60s, this is a picture taken in the 60s, and if you look for many more pictures in the 60s, you are going to see that the women, even the men, were slender, they were lean. Not to say that this is the perfect shape that somebody is supposed to have, but generally we registered less cases of obesity, less cases of overweight, less cases of illnesses like type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, cancers, and all of that. It is true that in Africa, a lot of surveillance wasn't done like that, but just from the stories that we have been told, just from how we saw our great-grandparents live so long. My grandfather lived almost 100 years. We know of grandparents that lived 106 years. And if we want to go even right from the start, from the genesis, from the cocoa of the matter, you're going to see that people like Abraham, they live long. But as the time grew by, I've seen, and I did not want to bring spirituality into this thing, but you guys know I'm a Christian. I must, team it up somehow. As sin increased, as people took matters into their own hands and they left the Garden of Eden, where there was a plenitude, where there was abundance, where there was health, and went into the world and started doing their own things. And we're going to talk about the other matter that is really causing this obesity in another live video. You understand? As we move and start doing things ourselves, industrialization and stuff and all whatnot, we are going to see that in a bit. We move from women who looked lean like so, who live longer, from men who live longer, who are stronger, who are happier, to this. This is not to body shame any woman. If you are this size, I am not trying to body shame you. I'm just trying to make a point that actually there has been a transition from leanness to obesity. I have been obese myself. I'm still not even in my normal weight range right now, so I cannot body shame anybody. Anyhow, this is where we have gone to. So the first thing we have to understand is that there is a nutrition transition. There has been a nutrition transition. That is the first key aspect, right? So the number one reason, even according to science, if you go to scientific databases to read, and if you even observe, you look way back, you're going to see that something has changed in the way that we ate back then. Do you understand? And the way that we are eating now. So I want to take us really quickly to look at that. Reason number one, I said before, is the nutrition. And this nutritional aspect has so many sub reasons that we're going to address. So the number one reason is that in the time of our ancestors, when I look back at how my grandmother, my great-grandmother Bamenda used to cook, we ate mostly plant-based foods, right? We ate plant-based foods, and by plant-based, I'm not saying that we did not eat meat, but plant-based meaning simply that we ate more of plants than we ate animals. Because, hey, back in the days, people did not also have that purchasing power to afford meat all the time, right? If you are with me, if you can relate, you tell me, because I remember that growing up, we used to eat chicken, all of those animals like eggs once a week. You had a poultry at the back of our house that we were rearing. We were rearing poultry. So we'll eat on Sundays. Each child will have an egg. We'll eat meat and just maximum once a week. And I remember in my grandmother's house when she made this jama jama, as you can see here, we never made jama jama with meat. It was just huckleberry, tomatoes, onions fried in some palm oil with a side of corn, yellow corn fufu, as you can see on the left hand side. And we would enjoy that, right? So we enjoyed a lot, and there are so many other varieties. Corn chaff, do you understand? Turning cocoa that we did without any animals. Okay, we ate a lot more plant-based than now. But these days, this is what you are going to see on the right hand side. Lots of meat with a side of carbohydrates, pepper. Do you understand? Our pots are filled with meat because one of the other reasons, because now we have purchasing power. Now many people are working. Now many people can afford meat, right? Now, I don't know. Do you understand? And because of that, many people tend to overconsume the animals. So it is more of an animal-based diet as compared to a plant-based diet back then. The second sub-reason, number two, is that we have moved from consuming freshly cooked home meals to consuming fast and convenience foods, right? And when I say fast and convenience food, I do not mean the kind of food that maybe you boiled your rice and kept half in the freezer so that the next time you don't need to enter the kitchen again. No, I'm talking about these fast foods you can see on the right side. Our mothers freshly cooked home meals, which were either harvested at the back of the compound or down the farm, or bought at the local markets from ladies who brought cassava, cocoyams, plantain directly from the farm, fresh vegetables, green huckleberries, ugu, and all that fresh stuff, wasta leaf. We will just buy immediately, come home, cook it immediately when all the nutrients are still there. Cook it and then just eat it immediately, right? So because at the time, that back in the 60s, the 20s, many people did not have fridges and deep freezers. They would not also, store food for long. Do you understand? And also, the good thing is, science has shown that when you cook food, fresh food, the fresher you cook the food and the faster you eat that freshly cooked food, the more vitamins you receive from the food. But then, on the other hand, these days you have fast food shops fast food, how they call these things, fast food shops everywhere. You have the likes of McDonald's, the likes of KFCs everywhere, in fact, everywhere. And the problem with these foods, fast foods that are now created today, is that they are made in such a way that they have a very extensive shelf life. And for it to have that extensive shelf life, most of these foods contain chemicals, they contain preservatives, harmful preservatives that are not good for the body. And sometimes in so high quantities, they contain a lot of salt. Do you understand? And so many other things. They contain colorings and. So, and the thing is that these fast foods nowadays are mostly highly processed fat food. So refined foods with a lot of trans fats that make us sick, that higher our cholesterol levels, bad cholesterol levels, that give us high blood pressure. In fact, that make us fat. So, and we consume these fast foods regularly because now many women also and men are working. We don't really have time. Most of the time, that's the excuse that we usually give. We don't usually have time to, cook our foods, cook fresh meals every other day. So most of the time, you go and just get a pizza, you get, cornflakes, cereals, you want to drink water, maybe you're on the run to go to the job, you get a Coke, you get a soda and stuff, you get French fries that have been double fried in deep oil, trans fat, and so on. So that is one of the reasons. And the more we consume these foods, the more we get fat. Things that our ancestors didn't do before. The third sub reason is that we consume, like I said, so many more unrefined foods as compared to back then. I remember that my mother, we grew cocoyams, we grew cassava, we grew cassava that we used to transform to gari, but the transformation process was fermentation. So that's a whole new ball game. So do you understand? So we ate unrefined foods, and unrefined foods that our grandparents ate, our forefathers ate, were foods that were not processed. They had all their nutrients intact. And unrefined foods are generally foods that are just one ingredient foods, for example. So like you can see on the left-hand side here, our parents will go and just collect cocoyams. Peel the cocoyams, it's just cocoyam, no added anything, no preservatives, no trans fat, nothing, it's just cocoyam. Full stop. And the cocoyam with the carbohydrates that is in it, the potatoes, the plantain with the starchy carbohydrates that's in it, and other minerals and vitamins, is just what they'll cook. And they're going to pair that with a dark leafy green. You understand, like green, like amaranth greens, if you know them, like bitter leaf, like okra. Do you understand? Unrefined foods, one ingredient foods, cooked in a very delicious way and eaten at the same time. But today, this is what we eat: processed foods. And these processed foods, I like to call them fake food because, like I always say, not everything that you see and that you put in your mouth that tastes good can be referred to as real food. There's a lot of man-made food. There's a lot of fake food out there, foods that cause more harm than good, foods that cause disease instead of healing diseases like the ones that I've just shown you right now. Okay, so these are the foods that our grandparents ate that helped them to stay strong, that gave them the energy that they needed, that repaired their body, that permitted children to grow strong with strong bones and teeth and all of that. But today we are eating the foods that are causing us a lot of harm. Do you understand? Refined, processed, fake foods. I like to call this man-made versus God-made. All of this, what you can see here, is God-made food. These are man-made food. This, right, is real food. This is fake food. So this is also one of the issues. Now, let's talk about another thing, which is the cooking method of back then versus today. So our parents, they grilled a lot. They grilled fish, they dried fish, the fermented foods, they pounded. They did not use a lot of oil to cook. They grilled their plantain right here, as you can see. Okay, they did not do a lot of deep frying. And if they did, back then when I was growing up, if we made chin chin, it was because a child had a birthday. If we made puff puff, it was maybe on Sundays when we had to eat puff puff and pap before we go out, or Saturdays when we eat puff puff and beans. I remember going to the farm. My father had a palm plantation, so when we were going to the farm and we knew that we were going to stay in the farm for the whole day, my mom was going to make puff puff in the house overnight. Do you understand? She would beat the dough, she would mix the dough. In the morning, she would fry the dough, make beans and make pap that we'll eat, because we needed a lot of energy. And we would eat that one meal in the morning, go to the farm and work like 8 hours the whole day, drinking only water, and then we'll come back to eat maybe fufu and jamajama in the evening. Do you understand? So those were the rare and special occasions where they gave us foods that were energy dense. Do you understand? Because the body actually needed those foods. But today, what are we doing? We are doing completely something else. We have deep fried everything. We deep fried fish, deep fried chicken, deep fried plantain chips, deep fried chin chin, deep fried pawpaw, deep fried everything. And not only that, we use a lot of oil, and the kind of oil we are using is no longer the coconut oils of our parents' days. We are using now high trans fat. We are using, vegetable oils that cause more harm than good. That cause inflammation in the body, and we are doing that very, very often, which is not good. Do you understand that? This is one of the reasons why we are getting fatter. Okay, now if you remember very well, you are going to see that when you were growing up, at least me and my entourage, the people in my community or in my family, we had a large family. We ate most of the time like so on the left hand side. My mom or my grandmom will put a bowl of rice like so with vegetables like cabbage and stuff, fish in a bowl, and all the children will gather around, and at the end of the day, each child is going to eat just not a big portion. But today we are filled with gluttony. When we go out to eat in one of these fast food restaurants, we are going to get a double mac cheese. We're going to get 1 liter Coke or 500 milliliters and chips like so. In fact, we eat a lot larger portions than before, which is causing us to get fatter. Also, let's talk about drinks. I know that growing up, we drank a lot of water. We did not buy sweet drinks, sodas and stuff like that, except for Christmas or birthday parties, right? And most of the time, I know personally, my mother used to make juice in the house. So she will make folere, what you know as a zobo drink. She will make pineapple juice. She will make pawpaw drink. She will make guava juice. She will boil the guava. As a matter of fact, we drank homemade juice. And when our parents were drinking, especially on special occasions, they would drink palm wine, which is a fermented drink from the palm tree. Okay, but look at on the left side today. What do you know? Especially for those Africans living in the diaspora, I've realized that, and before I used to do it too, because when I came this way, I said, hey, so I can actually buy a 6-pack of Fanta, a 6-pack of juice, and just put in my house and just be drinking. Now juice became water. Do you understand? I know somebody that when he just came to Germany, that bad boy drank juice for 6 months straight and developed diabetes like so. Because, now the purchasing power is there. Now you say, oh, you were restricted when you were a child, so you are drinking a lot. Many of us, our men, they go out, they drink a lot of beer. In Cameroon, I know that there's a saying that l'homme est rien sans son beer. That means a man is nothing without his beer. So every other day, as a matter of fact, there are people that go to the bar every single day drinking beer. Do you understand? That is why they will have this beer belly, this pot belly, this drum belly, and other diseases that come with this drinking attitude. So we drink a lot of soda, we drink a lot of alcohol, we drink little water as compared to our parents back then. Now, there's also the issue of lifestyle, which is the second problem, in this case, the seed problem. I remember that growing up, we played a lot of hopscotch in the compound. When we would go to school, we would walk on foot to go to school, 40 minutes to go, 40 minutes to come back. And it was fun because we were always with our friends. We would walk under the hot sun. That's how we got our activities. And before going to school, I would go and check my chicken. Each child had about 100 chickens to take care of. I would check my chicken, give them food, clean the chicken house, remove all of the feces and stuff. Sometimes I would clean the floor. My sisters would do their own chores and stuff. When we go to school, we walk. When we come back, we walk. We'll go and fetch water, from the stream. We'll go and buy sawdust to cook with, charcoal to cook with, from a distance of 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers. We actually got a lot of activity in unknowingly. Do you understand? Our lives were active. Our grandparents went to the farm. Most of our grandfathers were tappers, palm wine tappers, had cocoa farms and stuff. And so this is how they got their activity. That is the reason why they could eat 1 bundle of fufu and jamajama, or even 2, and not still gain weight. Why? Because they were expending a lot of energy because of the active lifestyles that they have. Our mothers, they cooked using methods that, today we are no longer going to use too much because, pounding, yam with a mortar, a big pot of yam with a mortar like that for about 30 minutes is not easy. Even sitting in the sun to cook under the charcoal or the firewood fire, it's not easy. Turning fufu, it's not easy. You see somebody, I used to sweat, man. I used to sweat cooking for 22 people, cooking fufu. Just imagine. Check it. for 22 people, fufu. Ha! By the time you're finished, or when my mother will send me to the market to go and buy bitter leaf or go and harvest bitter leaf down the farm, you have to wash a bag of bitter leaf. You will use like 2 hours under the sun washing bitter leaf with a mukuta bag. It was not easy, but it was exercise for us, and so we did not go far. We're expending a lot of physical activity. Now, concerning our young children, you no longer see them, playing hopscotch, playing dodging, playing outside, in the compound. But they have developed a sedentary lifestyle as well. The kind of games they play is Nintendo, television games, this one, constantly on the phone, all the time, constantly sitting. Do you understand? And this is affecting our lifestyle. Most of us, we have cars today, such that to even go to the supermarket that is just a 5-minute walk, we will take a car. We are living, maybe some of us who live in Europe, even in Africa, where there are lifts up and down, you will take the lift instead of taking the elevator. That's a problem. Doing that all the time without doing some kind of physical activity is a problem. Okay, so these are some of the issues that I wanted to talk about in this first part of why Africans are getting fatter. Now, in the second part, I'm going to talk about why Africans are getting sicker. Okay, we're going to talk about the diseases that are related to obesity and overweight. So to summarize today, the cause of obesity, the number one cause of obesity among Africans is the adoption or the transition, the nutrition transition from a traditional dietary pattern that had to do with eating a lot of dark leafy green vegetables, a lot of vegetables combined with unrefined starchy carbohydrates, eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, transitioning from an active lifestyle to a sedentary lifestyle. It is the problem, the bigger problem, it is the adoption of a westernized diet high in fats and trans fats, most especially high in meat, high in processed foods, high in sugary drinks and sweets, and the lack of physical activity. And we have seen that this trend is rising. Something is happening here, right? We are going to, according to the WHO and the scientific research, Africans are going to continue to gain weight, are going to continue to be overweight and obese, and have an accumulation of a lot of obesity-related health problems if something is not done at the individual level. If you and me will not do something, we are going to have a lot of problems. So stay tuned, like this video, share this video, and follow for more, so that you follow up and to see what next we are going to share, how to tackle this problem. What can you do to tackle this issue? If you are obese, what can you do to tackle this issue? And if you are overweight and you are already suffering maybe from insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, you can contact me. I do one-on-one coaching sessions for individuals who have that problem. And also, before I go, I just wanted to mention that my 21-day Fire Fat Forever Jumpstart program is starting next month in July, right? So every month I have the 21-day Fire Fat Forever Jumpstart program for those who want to lose weight eating African food. So if you are interested, you can go ahead and search www.superfastweightloss.com and purchase both ebooks. I have both ebooks. I have the Super Fast Weight Loss Nutrition Guide, where you are going to find out how many calories are in your favorite foods, what to eat, how to eat. Do you understand? What portions to eat, portion control, the easy way without mathematical calculations, all enjoying your African food. Then you have a cookbook here for more than 45 recipes that I share with you here. So if you go to www.superfastweightloss.com, you can get these ebooks and register for the next challenge for next month. Okay, spaces are limited, so do it now and do it fast. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you hit that follow button. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and follow for more. Cheers to health from Heritage. Bye.